Hi, Mike Evans from the Australian Security Academy again, and wrapping up today's 3 series of professional development videos in relation to the 2020 requirements of the 3 largest insurers in Australia. I'm about to show you the solution that if you get told you've got to undertake training to match the requirements of whether it's Suncorp, Metway, Allianz, QBE, it doesn't matter who it is. If they come to you and say, okay, to comply with the Hayne inquiry, Royal Commission about what's going on in insurance as an investigator, you've got to demonstrate to us that you have training and you're compliant with process, policy and procedure in insurance investigations. Now, you've gone out, you've done a course, you've gone out, you've got a license, you have 5 years of experience and you've done other professional development. Well, you should have all that ready on your resume to show anyone that's questioning your credentials. So from today, what we're taking away is it's changed now. There's a heavy emphasis on privacy. There's a heavy emphasis now on vulnerable people, and there's a very heavy emphasis on professional development and professional behaviour of investigators. And as I told you in one of the previous videos, that's coming right down to how you take your notes when you make an appointment, how you take your notes when you identify someone as a vulnerable person who may have mental health issues or something else. All that's going in your notes, and it's going to be part of your liaison with the insurance company about how to proceed with your investigation plan in that matter. Now, none of that means you're doing anything wrong. It just means you're aware of what they require. So I previously told you, yes, you've got to go and get, if you're a general insurance investigator, right, you must comply with the General Insurance Code of Practice. And the way to do that is do the 4 hours of training of it. Get one of these certificates. It's got your name on it. There it is. It's your name. It's right there. And then you can demonstrate that you've done that if you're in general insurance. What do you do if you've got to demonstrate your professionalism if you're not in general insurance? So you work in workers' compensation or liability investigations. Well, the solution to that is the new Certificate 3 in Investigative Services, the CPP 30619. This is what it looks like. Again, look, it's got your name on it. It's got the correct logo at the top, and it's the CPP 30619. It's not the predecessor, which was the CPP 30607. What's the important thing about this one? Well, it's in the statement of results. They're saying they want privacy. That's important. They're saying they want you to take thorough notes. That's important. They're saying they want you to be fully aware of workplace health and safety for vulnerable people. So let's have a look at what it looks like in that unit. When you see over here, maintain workplace health and safety on that certificate. What does that mean? Here's what it actually means. It means the person who was deemed competent in this unit must show evidence of the ability to complete tasks outlined in the elements and performance criteria of this unit, manage tasks and manage contingencies in the context of the job role about workplace health and safety. There must be demonstrated evidence that the candidate has completed the following tasks at least once with state, territory, workplace health and safety regulations, relevant codes of practice and workplace procedures. You've conducted a risk assessment and recorded the results. Now, that's what you do when you identify a vulnerable person. What is the risk to that person? What could be the risk to you? What is the risk to the reputation of your investigation agency or the insurance company? You've made an identification of hazards and potential hazards. So it might relate to the time of day that you have to go and speak to them in midsummer when it's 38 degrees in Victoria. You'll do a risk assessment about what you've got to do. You're going to outline strategies for minimising risk, not just to you, but to the claimant themselves. So you want to be in an air-conditioned place where you can conduct an appropriate interview, and you'll ensure that they understand they can have a support person there with them. You will make an analysis of any residual risk. You'll provide workplace health and safety information to at least 2 workers, including explanation of the policies and procedures, demonstration of safe housekeeping practices, correct use of personal protective equipment, consistently monitor safety procedures in the day-to-day work activities required by your investigation job role. You've completed a workplace incident report, which is one of the requirements for vulnerable people, and followed workplace procedures in a simulated emergency situation. Now, that emergency situation could simply be the person says, well, look, I'm feeling suicidal. So you give them a card in relation to who they can contact for support, Lifeline or something like that. It'll be in your processes, policies and procedures. So that's just one unit out of the new qualification. Let's have a look at the other ones that are important. And here they are. They're saying that privacy is really important. So you look at it, and what's the unit related to privacy? It's there in yellow. It says handle sensitive information, and you'll be collecting sensitive information from people, their work records, their leave records, their pay records, that sort of thing. You're going to be handling that information. And the fact that you've done this unit, it meets all the requirements of QBE, Suncorp Metway and Allianz and all the others. It's there. It says it. You've been awarded it. So it also talks about locating subjects and investigating them. And in this unit, you'll study how to keep records and notes and the trail that you did to locate that witness who was previously unknown, but you did your Google search. Nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly legal, but you've got to document it. So that's where it comes down to be very important here, where it says compile and use official notes. Again, it's not just in your making appointments, it's in the trail of what you've done and how you went about it. So all these things outlined in yellow there meet or exceed Allianz, QBE and Suncorp Metway's requirements. It's the Certificate 3 in Investigative Services. It's not loss adjusting from some remote loss adjusting trainers who don't know anything about these things. There was an incident back in the floods in Queensland where loss adjusters were interviewing people who'd lost everything in the floods, but they also lost relatives or friends. 2 loss adjusters ran away from the interview in tears because they couldn't handle the fact that the person they were interviewing had a fatal accident of a friend or a relative. Now that left the claimant sitting there wondering, wow, you know, I've lost everything. Now I can't even get my claim through. This person's just run out in tears. So that's a double loss. You don't want that kind of training. You want this kind of training that's there in front of you. It's real, it's relevant, you're prepared for it, and you're going to know it's going to happen. So if you go deeper into this qualification to see what it's about, you can see it tells you in the assessments in this qualification what you have to be able to do. So when you show your qualification to Allianz, QBE, Suncorp Metway, they know you've done a general insurance investigation. They know you've done a third-party liability investigation. They know you've done a workers' compensation investigation in your training. You're prepared to make notes. You're prepared for vulnerable people. You're prepared to document and leave a trail of your searches and stuff like that. It's all in the practice that you did. So where it says conduct interviews, you've taken statements from 3 different people, but there's one really important thing at the last point there. For one interview, an interpreter must be engaged in the interview conducted with the interpreter. That was in your course. So when Allianz, QBE or Suncorp Metway demand this from you, you show them to it on your certificate. It's there on your statement of attainment. And then it goes down to factual investigation reports. Once again, it says you've done a general insurance investigation. Well, that's all of them. One compulsory third-party liability investigation. Well, that's a liability investigation. You've done a workers' compensation investigation. All these things are in the CPP 30619. So if anyone questions your ability to undertake work for them as a licensed private investigator from an insurance company and you show them your academic record with all those things on it, proving that you studied that, there is no argument. They can't say, oh, you can't work for Allianz because you haven't done this, that, or the other, or you haven't done 1 hour's training here. This exceeds their requirements. It was prepared by the investigation industry 12 months ago. So don't sit back and be told by people who don't understand what they're doing. A lot of them are just going, well, we should just go to the Loss Adjusting Association and get trained by them. Crap. That's not going to work. What are they going to do? Run out in tears when they have a fatal investigation? No. You get it trained properly, do the CPP 30619. It meets all the criteria that they're looking for. So don't be bullied by insurance companies about what's acceptable and what's not. You can kick back. So it's very important to them that you demonstrate that you've got that by holding the qualifications, by doing the study. The privacy is paramount for them. If you're a member of an investigation Facebook hate group, get out of it. Don't be associated with it, right? Just get on with being professional, get on with doing your work and earn an income from a great industry. It's good fun. So if you are asked to comply in any way with training, professional development, prove your ability to deal with vulnerable people or interpreters, you have options. You can study the qualification, you can show them the qualification, you can do your general insurance code of practice. So it's not all hard. Often the insurance companies, they see these royal commissions and they don't know what to do themselves. And look, they're not going to pay for you to do this. No, they're just going to wave the big stick and say, you've got to comply with it. Well, if you comply with it and the others don't, you get the work and they don't. Can't get a better tip than that. I'm Mike Evans from the Australian Security Academy.